like I say, I am in a different lot than everyone else because I actually had deals with the gypsies and a lot of other people. Like I say, I gave the gypsies like probably 20 steam engines. No, it's more like 10 or 8. I think I gave them 10 steam traction engines and even a train at one point in time. I'm not exactly sure. And even was trying to, and even had a traveling doctor's office, doctor's, obstetrician, and also dental. Like I said, back in the old days, when there was just train tracks around and stuff like that, I used to have doctors, and traveling dentists, and traveling obstetricians, basically eyeglass people, pretty much. That would go around from town to town, and they would sell eyeglasses, and this was probably back in the 1800s or 1700s or 1600s, somewhere around there. Basically, they would travel around and they would hand grind lenses and stuff like that to make people glasses, and also pull teeth and fill them with silver or whatever from my mines or whatever from my silver mines or stuff like that. And like I said, considering a dollar gold piece, a dollar of silver was only like was like a thing right there. And although it was a little expensive, you could always talk them into basically doing some dental care or something like that. Because it's only a little bit of silver or a little bit of gold or a little bit of something, anything but iron, basically. It just has to be a metal that doesn't rust. Anyway, though, so basically, traveling circuses, and that's how, me and the gypsies kind of brushed up against each other. Mm, rough, like a puppy dog. Rough. Get this mangy dog off me. Rough. Anyway, we're basically, basically, I owned Germany and owned certain cities or certain towns or certain countries, basically. Or at least I was doing the laws for them. And the gypsies were like, you're cool. All right. So basically, like I said, Lucifer Star, well, I designed your bodies anyway, and also other animals and plants in the universe or on the planet Earth, basically, at some point in time. And then I was paying for air seeding and stuff like that, and blah 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 blah, all kinds of stuff. And that's I invented flight. So therefore, and I think even gypsies had an aircraft. I'm not exactly sure who bought what or when or where, but basically there was lots of aircraft around. There were lots of cars. There's lots of engines around, throughout Germany and everything else. And most people had no problem purchasing my inventions, basically. And that's how basically I had traveling doctors and traveling obstetricians and traveling dentists and traveling other people, and the gypsies always just kind of went around and kind of got to know them, as these people were traveling around. And I ended up, I think, maybe even giving them a train or something like that, which they fixed up or something like that, and cruised around, made lots of money or whatever, lots of whatever. Like I said, I provided the basis of basically the financial system by actually minting coins and everything else like that, which were useful. And at some times I actually minted them at a loss of money, or minted them at basically just to provide money for the things. And basically a lot of groups just kind of went along with it. you know like I said, I'm Lucifer Star, the of the White Star Alliance company. And so like my company was just one company or one group in a sea of millions or trillions. And I happened to be the creator. Although I didn't tell people that I was, I wasn't like, I'm your creator, blah blah blah. I was more like Lucifer Star, mining and shipping. you know, I love to use my line. And I always lied about my age, saying, oh, I'm just a small businessman. Like I said, I had certain Germans that I had granted access to my finances, and also asked them to do a certain amount of bookkeeping and stuff like that. Um, and they were, keeping track of my gold, keeping track of my mines, my mineral mines, and everything else like that. And it gets all very big and very complex as basically, steam organs and stuff like that, and also cars and all this stuff. And then suddenly you have Nixon, and Jimmy Carter, and shoe in the back, John McCain. Actually, he was JFK originally. Originally, the person you knew as JFK became Nixon and cloned himself like 30 times or 20 times. Somewhere around 1850 to 1920, about is is when they were doing a top secret cloning project and involving Jackie, Jackie, and I think Jackie Kennedy was actually, I think she had originally another name or whatever. I don't know why she ended up being Jackie. Um, but basically, she was a nurse or something like that, and I think she was killed at some point and even cloned or whatever. I'm not exactly sure exactly what the details are of that. It'd be considered top secret national security. Anyway, though, I had knowledge of these projects, basically. So anyway, so there's probably 2 Jackies and probably I don't know how many Kennedys that were floating around. I don't really know his real name, basically. And then of course there's also what's it called? And so like I said, there's also what was considered national security and top secret. Basically, the Germans were doing a research project involving steroids at Harvard or Yale, and basically JFK pretty much captured one of the German doctors or something like that, and was torturing them or something like that to get the steroids or the location for the steroid factory or how to make them, basically. And I think they eventually killed him or something, and they couldn't get the good quality steroids, so they were using horse steroids or something like that, and not like I said, there's German steroids, which are pure and really good, and also Russian steroids, which are pure and really good eventually. But originally, the Russians didn't have that good quality steroids, and they're using a lesser quality, which wasn't very good. The Germans had the good stuff, which is basically pretty much just basically pure steroids, and don't have any real nasty side effects or anything else like that. Just bulk you up on muscle. But like I said, you had to inject it directly into the muscle and not inject it into the veins or anything else like that, or take it in a pill. You had to basically, or something like that. I forget exactly how it worked. But basically, there's a project in Russia, there's a project in Germany at one of the schools, and there was also a project in maybe in Ireland and maybe in at Harvard, or one of the schools, basically. And that's how basically they're wiping the walls with other football teams. And it was such a ridiculous difference that it was just like, wow, like, why even bother play? And it caused a problem because all these people were using steroids, and it wasn't really a fair thing. They were just, a freight train going through. So it basically killed the sport pretty much for a while, because and the whole world was like, what the fuck is going on? And Nixon and JFK and other people were like, nothing, we're not doing anything at all. And it's like, you're using steroids. Anyway, eventually they had to release the truth about it, and they were also doing bets or whatever, or making money. I don't really know exactly what the details are of that. Basically, it was steroids, and they had eventually captured a German scientist and were forcing them to basically make them steroids, pretty much. Anyway, and even though against doctors' advice, the doctor said you can't use that many steroids; it will cause permanent brain damage or permanent damage to the body. But they didn't care, and they were just pumping steroids into people and basically creating these A-frame like gorilla men, basically. And JFK was using them for basically his personal little like one hand squeeze squad, pretty much, like muscle, whatever. Anyway, eventually I kind of got in communication with them and could pay them better, and also give them amnesty from basically the crimes they had done or something like that. And basically they eventually started working for me at some point in time. So, and they cut down on the steroids and became normal people again, fortunately, because like, I don't know. Anyway, though, there was a lot of really horrible stuff going on between 1910 and 1950 or 1960. So anyway, yeah. So there's all that. And basically this is just your world in a nutshell, pretty much. Anyway, it took me a while to uncover all these little secret projects of JFK or Nixon. And there was my safe projects, and then there was what Nixon and JFK was doing. And basically there's the gypsies and every other group going, huh, what? And they're trying to figure out, so because there's me, and then there's JFK and Kennedy, basically. And then there's like groups like the Gypsies, the 10 people, the, and everybody else. So the world got quite full with big organizations. And of course there's White Star Alliance, Lucifer, great big ships and aircraft and stuff like that. And like the Lusitania, Leviathan, and other stuff. So, and my first nuclear-powered cruise ship, as well as my nuclear-powered freight train, which caused a problem, and eventually had to be put underground, and maybe because somebody took it apart. I'm not exactly sure. or try to use it past its life expectancy.